Oh, nope, that's not it. Hold on. Erase that bit. 100. Hello, hi. This is first part of the almostADORNO lecture series on Fallout 76. For now, maybe other games eventually, where I'm going to talk to you about why I do things the way I do in game. And the first one is a long-awaited video about silos. Now, this will not be like most tutorial videos that you see, because I'm not a typical YouTuber. I'm a streamer, and I'm using that term loosely. I stream once a week. I'm just a guy on the internet making videos with my friends. So, largely just me talking about why I do things the way I do in a silo. This is going to be cut into 6 videos, 6, hopefully about under 10 minutes each, about the 6 different parts of a silo. Starting with, the Enclave quest. I'm not going to walk through the entire Enclave quest, but, we're going to talk about it. Part 0, right, getting ready. Part 1, getting past the grid. Part 2, pipes. This is a pipes run, not hack pick. Part 3, destroying the mainframe cores. Part 4, replacing said cores. And Part 5, launching the nuke and nuke locations. So 6 altogether, with the prereq video, which is this one. Kind of the introduction to the whole thing. So, long story short, nuking is the end game. It's end game content. It's what you do. It's one of the few things that you can do in Fallout 76. At the end, once you've done all the quests, once now you're searching for loot, stuff like that, it's the end game boss, right? It spawns the end game boss, if done properly. But we'll talk about nuke locations later. This video, it'll be shorter than the rest. It's kind of the introduction to what this is and what we're doing here. It's kind of going to focus on the purpose of it, how to get here, and some of the options that you have in terms of gear, ways to make it maybe a little bit easier than it normally would be, stuff like that. Kind of like, the what you do before you enter a silo to, do some Fallout 76 endgame. In order to launch your first nuke, you have to complete the Enclave questline. It is part of the main quests in Fallout 76, but you do not have to do it in any particular order. You can you can just do the Enclave quest and skip the rest of them if you wanted to. And the way you can do that is by going to the abandoned waste dump. Enter the abandoned waste dump. There are several steps you have to go through to, launch the quest and get it in your quest log. It's as simple as going there and searching for a body that's in the cave. And once you find that body, it'll have a holotape on it, and it will start a quest called Bunker Buster, which will lead you through the entire quest line to start dropping nukes in Fallout 76, right? So yeah, I recommend doing that around, if you have a group, you could probably do it in your 30s or so. But anytime after 50, you can do it by yourself. And the quest takes probably, a solid 5 hours to do if you want to bust it out in a day, or you can spread it across a couple days. Once you know what you're doing, it's fairly simple though. But yeah, that's where it starts. You follow that quest line. You'll jump back in here to the White Springs bunker, and you'll go around to different places in the mire a whole bunch. And then eventually you'll get to quest to enter a silo and launch a nuke. Now, once you have that, that's kind of where it gets in the nitty gritty, right? That quest is actually interesting. It's going to ask you to do several things that you simply do not have to do. Like obtain a piece of a keycard fragment, or obtain a piece of the keycard code, or the nuclear silo code, or something like that. Basically, the feral ghoul officers that are roaming the wasteland that have the pieces of the codes onto them. You don't have to do that. In fact, you don't have to do anything other than launch the nuke for the I Am Become Death quest, which is the name of the final quest to launch the nuke, I Am Become Death. You don't have to do anything but go into the silo and launch the nuke. If you want to go through all those steps, by all means, go for it. This video is not the one you want to watch to learn how to do that. There's plenty of guides, written ones that are step-by-step that you can do online. I'm going to assume you can figure out how to do it, and you're going to skip doing the unnecessary parts and go right into a silo. So that's kind of the preface, right? That's where we're starting. We're going to assume you're immediately entering a silo, of which there are 3 on the map. Silo Bravo, up here is where we are. At the top end of the Savage Divide. Site Alpha, Silo Alpha, kind of in the center of the Savage Divide, just above the National Isolated Radio Array and West-Tech. And then finally, Silo Charlie, down here by the Bed and Breakfast, just east of the Ash Heap. Every single silo in Fallout 76 is exactly the same. There is no difference. The interior is exactly the same. How you get into each silo is different. These two are fairly straightforward. Alpha and Bravo, you know, are just buildings somewhat like this. We'll go look at Alpha here. And you walk in and you just go. Charlie is a little bit more complicated, and I'll show you why. In terms of getting in. Once you're actually inside, the interior, 100% the same, A, B, and C, no different. So the approach you take, or the approach that I'm going to explain here, will work in any silo. So when you come in to C, you're at this big building. Easy to get lost in. A lot of people. I've seen a lot of people new to silos run past where you're supposed to go. But effectively, when you spawn into this area, you'll come around the back. You have to jump over the fence, assuming you have a mutation by now. This stuff. And this is where you get into the silo. It's the elevator right here. Oh, legendary. Mutant Slayer Sledgehammer. Useless. Anyway, since we're at Charlie now, this is the silo we'll run. But yeah, you come in over the fence from where you spawn in into the door, and it's the elevator right here. Most people come in over here and they look around for a while, right? They'll spawn in, they'll run around the side, and then there's all these other buildings. But you can definitely get into it over here. But yeah. Here's the three silos. The insides of them are exactly the same across the board. No different. So the tactics I use in Charlie will work in Bravo and Alpha, so on and so forth. Now, some quality of life things to think about before going into a silo. Make sure you have nuclear keycards. You need this to launch the nuke at the end of the silo. Is it the end of the world if you don't have one? You get to the end and you don't have one? No, you can exit and come back in and not really lose your progress. But it's just easier quality of life stuff. Make sure you have it. Repair kits. Hopefully you've killed a queen or two and you have some. You know, if you've never, you know, if you're taking it slow, there's chances are your weapon is gonna break or your armor is gonna break or something like that. So you make sure you have some repair kits, whether from the queen or if you get them from the Atom Shop. It's completely up to you. I don't judge people who use the utility stuff. It is not pay to win, but that's a whole nother video. And I recommend Stimpaks Radaway and Radx Diluted. You know, basic stuff. I have a whole bunch of other stuff that I carry around with me at any given time. For the purpose of this video, I'm not going to use any buffs other than those three. Stimpaks, Radx Diluted, and Radaway. And then finally, you know, if you have a troubleshooter's weapon, it's good, unless you have your best in slot. There is no best in slot, but, you know, the best weapon you have will help, because there is lots of robots that you need to kill. For a long time, I used troubleshooter's weapons because I thought it was helpful. It's not 100% necessary at all. I don't use it, actually, on any of my characters that I run silos with. What I do run, however, is troubleshooter's gear. My gear is not the standard. It is not what everybody should be using. My gear for silos is highly specialized for speedrunning. However, for anybody thinking about running a silo, it is exponentially easier if you have at minimum 2 pieces of troubleshooter's gear. Doesn't matter what pieces. It doesn't matter if it's 1 star or 3. What you want is the damage reduction from robots. Having 2 of those pieces is the bare minimum, and it will help greatly. Like, especially if you're getting lost and you don't really know what you're doing, or you take it slower than most. Having 3 pieces is probably the minimum for anybody who runs silos at a, you know, on a normal basis. I think in terms of quality of life, it makes things a hell of a lot easier, right? This, you know, the 1st star is what matters. Like I said, you can pick this stuff up cheap off vendors. People sell it all the time for, you know, a couple hundred caps. grab it, just put it on. Doesn't matter if it's level 40, doesn't matter if it's, you know, 35, so on and so forth. Preferably combat armor or leather. Combat or leather armor is what you're looking for. And you know, 2 or 3 pieces of troubleshooter's gear is what you're looking for. I'll do a speedrun tutorial and talk more in depth about what I run. But 2 or 3 pieces is going to lower the damage reduction between 30 and 45% from robots. That'll make you... And everything in a silo is a robot. There's no other enemy in a silo except a robot. So, it helps. It helps greatly. And I highly recommend it. You know, AP is good. AP is always good. But, you know, it depends on your build and what other stats you like. But yeah, if you can get a couple pieces of that before your first silo, or if you just come across it in the wild, hold on to it, because it'll help you in the silo incredibly, especially if you're going in a group. The more people you enter a silo with, the more mobs there are, right? So there's more robots, that's more things shooting at you. So that little extra boost could be incredibly helpful in a lot of ways, right? So, you know, keep that in mind. You know, like I say, if you find it, keep it. Just hold on to it. Go in your bank. Most of it's light. Especially if you get leather. Leather is the best. It has the highest energy resistance, and everything in here is energy. Except, yeah, for the most part. You can see my stats here. I'll be running with 329 energy resistance, plus close to like 70 some odd % damage reduction from robots. So what you see me doing is not, you know, going to be the results you see, unless you have that full set of gear as well. And like some of my regular gear has that stuff too, so it doesn't make a difference if I change it out. But, you know, keep that in mind. Is it necessary? No. Will it make your life easier? Hundo P, as the kids say. Obviously, any buffs you feel like using, you know, use them. They will just help you. But Rad-X, Diluted, Radway, and Stimpaks is all you'll need. Food, water, repair kits, and your best gear. So the last thing you need before you go into the silo is the silo codes, right? At the end, you have to launch a nuke. And you have to put in a key code if you've never done it before. So where do you get that key code? There's plenty of websites that put this stuff out there. Plenty of streamers have a exclamation point code or codes command in their chat, which will give it to you. If you don't watch streams, that's cool. But the site you can go to that is incredibly reliable is nukeecrypt.com. nukeecrypt.com. Usually about an hour to 3 hours after the codes reset, which is every Monday at 8 p.m., they have a team of code crackers that go and get the new ones, and you can just pull them up. If you want to punish yourself and figure it out all yourself, that's on you. This video is not about that. I think that about covers everything you need to get started and everything you should be thinking about before you enter the silo. You know, keycard, codes, proper aid, Rad-X Diluted, Radaway, Stimpaks, Super Stims if you got them. Repair kits are incredibly helpful. Not necessary. There is benches throughout the silo, but it's going to make the run take a lot longer if you have to stop and repair, switch out perk cards, stuff like that. Now, water and food. Obviously, you'll need water and food. And troubleshooter's gear, if you can find it. Helps incredibly. And that's what I would, you know, anybody thinking about running a silo, that's what I would recommend that they do. That's kind of the basics of what to think about. The kind of the getting started, the preface. Thanks for watching. This is in a playlist, so the next video we should just roll right into the next video here. Getting past the grid. Thanks for hanging out. Like, subscribe, and obey, as they say in Borderlands. Not exploiting like a fucking loser. Cool. Awkward ending.